Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Yet it is another day, a new day, a bright Sunday. Indeed, it is shining. So I will call it a blessed day, a day that the Lord has made, that we should all be glad and rejoice in it. Today is also another episode bringing to you live from Richmond Media. Is health issues. Today's topic is a continuation from last week, which is depression. Last week, we talked about what depression is, causes of depression, symptoms of depression, and the strategic way for coping with depression. It continues today. Today, we will know more about it and what we have to do at a moment or when we get depression. Stay tuned for us, bringing to you to your doorstep from Richmond Media, streaming live on YouTube, live on Facebook. Today I have with me Mr. Maxwell Owusu Ansah. Mr. Owusu Ansah, you're welcome to Richmond Media.
Thank you very much for having me once again.
Thank you, brother. We have another guest with us. At the right time, I will introduce our guest. Oh, luckily for us, she is here. So our second guest is Mrs. Evelyn Agyapong. Sister Evelyn, you're welcome back to Richmond Media.
Thank you very much, Bimah. Hi,
Thank
Maxwell.
you so much. Maxwell?
Hello. Yeah.
Thank you so much for keeping time for us this afternoon. Once again, another Sunday. It's not easy to get you on Sunday, but we thank God that both of you, because looking at where you are stationed or the type of profession that you are in, having time for us on Sunday is a golden medal for us. So you're welcome back to Richmond Media. We continue our program, and if I've already gone through what we discussed last week, I've given the summary of it, and then we continue from today. So today, the first question is, we know from last week up to this point. So how can depression how can depression itself affect our brain? Any of you can go, please. I don't have to choose. Ladies first. So, Mrs. Agyapong, please, is it possible for you to go first?
My end here, everything went off, so I didn't hear anything you said. All I heard was the first, and then it went blackout. So if you can repeat what you said.
Yes, already from last week we discussed about depression, what depression is, the causes of depression, symptoms of depression, and the strategic way of coping with depression. So we are continuing from there this afternoon.
Okay.
And this afternoon is, how can depression affect the brain?
Okay. I'll just say something little, then I think Maxwell can add up. So we have something we call the hippocampus, which happens to raise the cortisol level of the brain. The cortisol level happens to be one of the hormones that we have in the brain. And so when this the hippocampus raises this the cortisol level, it impedes the development of the neurons in the brain. And once those impediments come in, it means that there is going to be sort of a shrinkage or the side of the brain that's supposed to do work for each and everyone, you are unable to have that normal size, thereby affecting the part of the brain that has to really function for you to be able to execute your daily activities. And so that will cause a reduction in the brain part, leading to one losing energy and having less sleep. I mean, being sad, and then starting the exhibition of the mood sign, the depressive signs and symptoms that we've already mentioned. So basically, the cortisol level does affect the brain when it causes its impediment regards to its development, and when that impediment sets in, there is shrinkage in the brain part that's supposed to function as it has to, thereby leading one to um, manifest the signs and symptoms of depression.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Agyapong. Mr. Osansa, do you have additional contribution to?
Yes,
Uh,
just to add to that, while the um, cortisol levels rise, and then there's a shrinkage of the cerebral um, function organs, and then their function. Um, One other part, also called the amygdala, it enlarges, and that is the specific part that instructs the body to release the hormone for um, fight or flight, as in response to situations. And so that is what is manifested in a depressed person. That mood swings that she was talking about. So uh, the hormone epinephrine or adrenaline becomes the levels of that hormone also goes up, and in dire situations too they go extremely low, and so the person becomes that um, sad, and not functioning, appearing not to be concerned about things surrounding him or her. Or on the other hand, or on the other extreme, the person becomes so aggressive. So it depends. But that part also enlarges while the cerebral portion shrinks. Okay.
Thank you so much. This afternoon, we continue to look into depression, what depression does to each and every individual, and how we can cope with depression when we have it, how to seek for help, and where to go. We continue to have Mr. Usu Ansah and Mrs. Agyapong with us this afternoon. So wherever you are watching us from, please call friends and family to join us. Share the link to whoever that you can reach. Ask them to join us because depression is very important and it's affecting so many people in our society. So if we know how to deal with it, it will be easier for us to reach out to so many people, so many souls. Even if not us, we'll be able to help someone to cope with their situation. As we continue, how can depression be diagnosed at all?
Okay. Um. So before one can be diagnosed of depression, would need to take a thorough intake assessment, whereby we will have conversation with the person, getting to know the duration of. Okay, so first, the person would have to present his concerns or the problem. Let us know the signs and symptoms he's been manifesting or exhibiting, and then we get to know the duration for which the person has been having those signs and symptoms. Then also we would have to find out, or we will assess whether all those signs and symptoms are having a toll or any effect in the person's daily functioning. And then we can also use assessment tools to ascertain the severity of the person's um, condition, as to whether it is mild, moderate, or severe. So we can know if we are going in only for psychotherapy, or we have to combine psychotherapy with medication, or if there is a need to even begin with the pharmacologic aspect before the psychotherapy. And then, as part of the intake assessment, we don't only take it from the one um, having the condition, but we would also want to find out from the significant others um, for the person. So, in this case, if the person happens to come to your facility with a relative or a neighbor, we would want to find out from him or her what he's also been seeing concerning this particular person. And thereon, we can also go out there to find out or call in other family members or close relatives of the person just to find out indeed if the same behaviors has been, I mean, um, have been exhibited across different situations, because we want to find out whether at the office the person does exhibit those signs and symptoms, whether at home it's also seen there. Sometimes at church or wherever the person's environment would need to ascertain all these before we can be conclusive or definite and say that indeed this person is suffering from depression. But like I said earlier, we are also much um, uh, very much careful with what level of depression the person is, because sometimes we just leave it just as the person is depressed, or giving the impression as the person is depressed when we don't really know the severity. So as to whether to combine the pharmacology with the psychotherapy or to do a monotherapy thing, it's also very important to be assessed that as well.
Thank you so much. This afternoon, I would like to acknowledge our viewers. The ones that we know is the one that we will be able to acknowledge. So please, if you are watching us, let us know that you are watching us so that we'll be able to acknowledge you. We have Brother Owusu. George Owusu Bequin says, good afternoon. Good afternoon, Brother Owusu Bequin, and thank you so much for watching us. And whoever is watching us this afternoon, wherever you are watching us from, we say thank you so much. Continue to share your views or give us a comment so that we will be able to acknowledge you. If you don't do that, we won't be able to acknowledge you. Brother Owusu Bequin says, I want to know the types of depression that can be diagnosed medically, please. But also, we touched on that last week. But Auntie Evelyn or Mr. Ansah, if you can enlighten that for us before we continue, so that Mr. Osbekin can follow us as we proceed on. Mrs. Agyapong, are you there?
Okay.
To with regards to the types, we said we have major depressive disorder, and then we also have persistent depressive disorder. Now, with the major depressive disorder, we were made to know that we can have three types of it. We can have the psychotic type, for this particular type, it's the form that involves um, psychotic symptoms. So someone who is psychotic, or someone who is depressed, and alongside is exhibiting some psychotic symptoms, like hallucination or having delusions or being paranoid. Okay. And then another type of the major depressive disorder can be the melancholic. And for this, we said it's the form that is very severe form of depression, whereby lots of the physical signs and symptoms we've already touched on are being experienced. So this person having frequent aches and pains, frequent headaches, losing interest in previous activities that the person used to enjoy. And then the very third type of the major depressive disorder happens to be the perinatal depression, which is mostly experienced during pregnancy or 12 months period after giving birth. So sometimes we call it postpartum or puerperal depression, which most women go through prior to delivery or right after delivery, for which they seek treatment for. So those are the three types that we can have for the major depressive disorder. And then we have the second type has to be the persistent depressive disorder. And for this one, it's saying that its symptoms are similar to the earlier one mentioned, to the major depressive disorder, just that the symptoms are less severe, but then they last for a much longer time than the major depressive disorder. So those are the various types that we can um, diagnose someone of, or that we can have under depression.
Thank you so much. I hope Mr. Osubequin is okay with us. Sister Tai Mohammed, good afternoon. Glad to join again this afternoon. Thank you so much, Sister Tai, for joining us this afternoon. Mr. Akon says, good afternoon to you all and the team. Good afternoon, Mr. Akon, and thank you for joining us. And whoever is here with us, please just give us a shout. You can just say hi, and we'll be able to acknowledge you. Mr. Osubequin says, oh, I've heard of reactive depression. May I know either it is also type of depression, please? If yes, what is reactive depression? Before we come to your question, Mr. Osubequin, then we will go for one from our end before we come to yours. So, what is the fastest way to treat depression, please?
Maxwell,
Yeah,
only
hello.
going to, yeah.
Okay, so it all would depend on when it is being diagnosed. So, as I said the last time, it will be very much very helpful if it is diagnosed or taken up in time. So that would enable the healthcare provider to know how to best go about the treatment plan. So if it is not caught up in time, then maybe I would say the symptoms might have lasted for a while, and then it might be very difficult to get the person to be able to go about his or her daily activities or the normal life. But the fastest way I would say would be early diagnosis, and then the individual availing him or herself, like having the willingness to go through with their treatment plan. That would be the fastest way. I do not think beyond that there will be any helpful way, because those two things might come into play before the individual can be helped in that regard.
Thank you so much. Auntie Evelyn, was Mr. Osubekwen is saying, could you please go over his, if that is possible, if there is reactive depression? That's what he wants to know. And what is it? Do you have anything like that?
Okay, so briefly, yes, we have reactive depression and reactive depression. The signs and symptoms mimic same as the major depressive disorder, and in most cases, we can also term it as situational depression. And so there might be particular season within the year that some people exhibit or manifest the signs and symptoms of depression. Let's say during a crisis, a major crisis, if it's something that happens, let's say annually, or a possible stressor that annually happens, definitely at that part of the season within the year, the signs and symptoms of depression are likely to be manifested by lots of people because it's something that really hits people. And so if I can just cite one example, like let's say the COVID-19, okay, which came, and let's say if it happens that it's a kind of crisis we can't deal with. And so let's say every year we are likely to experience maybe within a particular month lots of people losing their lives as a result of that pandemic. Definitely annually within that particular season, you can have lots of people being depressed as a result of maybe loss of their loved ones or issues of stresses having to probably work from home or having to deal with the particular, pandemic at that time. So in most cases, we can also call it seasonal. So as and when it comes, if it's something that happens almost every time within a particular period of time, yes, we can have lots of people, having depression.
Okay, thank you so much. Mr. Osu Bepin, I am sure you are okay. Mr. Osu Ansah, you want to say something?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, that's
That can also be related to in terms of the occurrence, um, whether it's an acute or a chronic. So it would hover around the acute depression, as in a sudden onset of the depression. So I would say that with that, if the cause of the depression, for example, if it's a crisis, as she said, is taken out or it's overcome, then the person would be able to go back to the activities of daily living or the normal life in the shortest time. So, uh, it being reactive, it's related to maybe a sudden crisis and then how the person meets it or reacts to it.
thank you so much. There is another okay. Mr. Jojo Queen says thank you for the brief explanation. God bless you. Thank you so much, Mr. Queen, for always making it possible to this program. So how do we, or as healthcare professionals, how do we deal with a depression, a person who is depressed?
How do we deal with such a person?
Yeah.
Um, so from where I am coming from, I would say I have to um I have to empathize with the person. Okay, I have to put myself in the person's shoes. And so if the person should put up any behavior, quote unquote, so abnormal or weird behavior, I shouldn't just go in and judge the person or say all sort of things to the person. But then if I'm putting myself in the person's shoes, knowing that possibly it's as a result of what he is going through, that's why he's picking up the behavior, I will understand. And then from that angle, I can then know how to deal with such a person. I wouldn't be judgmental or biased. I have to give the person a listening ear without judging. For all you know, most of these depressed patients are just looking out for someone who can hear them out. Just allow them to talk for all, just let them pour out their hearts to you without you not interfering or distracting or judging them. Just at the end of whatever they have to vent out to you, some feel relief because maybe for a very long time they haven't had one person who, giving such a listening ear to them. Okay, and so I give such people that listening ear. If you have to cry, I'll let you shed your tears. If you have to put up any form of behavior, some can go to the extent of, out of anger, just wanting to even throw a fist or banging on a table, have possibly for a hurt or a pain that they are dealing with. Just allow them be. Allow them to be. or to do whatever they want to do. Of course, you have to also be cautious. If it's something that is going to hurt them, then you may have to intervene. But even with your intervention or with how you want to come in, you also have to tread cautiously so you don't, go, overboard or do something that will also make them feel hurt them more. And so give them the listening ear, empathize with them, be non-judgmental, respect their views. Honestly, I think when you start exhibiting these as health professionals, all other things will follow. And for me, I say that first impression really counts. When the person is so able to freely flow, with your presence or being around you, trust is key. Trust is established. And from there on, any other thing the person is going through, the person will willingly open up to you. And so the first impression is really key. Let's try as much as possible to accept them, to respect them, not judging them, give them that listening ear, and then the others can also follow.
Thank you so much, sister, for your kind explanation to us. At this moment, I would like us to have a break by recognizing one of our members, Sister Grace Abibio's daughter. It's her birthday today. So, yeah, we wish you a happy, happy birthday. May the good Lord shower his blessings over you, and may he locate you today as you celebrate your day today. Enjoy the most of the day, and may the good Lord grant you the desire of your heart so that we will see you in the future and be proud of you as a daughter of Richmond Media. Hopefully, as the day goes by, you will join us together with your mom as we celebrate you today. Happy, happy birthday. Enjoy the day. At this moment, if you are watching us, wherever you are watching us, we'd like you to know that there is no other money transfer company that is trustworthy than OA Pay. OA Pay money transfers money to Ghana. Wherever you are in Ghana, you just send the money, you receive it. I always call it, you pay as we pay you. So we pay you instantly as you pay us. So why don't you use this? The first time that you use OA Pay, you get £7 on it. But before you get those £7, you will have to use a coupon code, which is called Richmond. And Richmond, that's where we are now. So why don't you use RICHMO as a code in order to get the £7 of your first transfer wherever you are? Is it for feeding? Is it for hospital bills? Or is it any project that you are embarked on that you need money instantly for it? I recommend OA Pay to you. As soon as you send it, just download the app and then you'll be able to use it straight away. Your family members are waiting for you. Try us today and you will come and testify on it. There is also a promotion that is going on at Richmond Media. If you watch 50 of our videos and then you ask 50 people to subscribe to this channel, you have the chance of winning laptop. If you ask 40 people to subscribe and you watch 40 of our videos together, you have the chance of having a mobile phone. If you watch 30 and ask 30 people to subscribe, you get a hamper. What is in it? It's a secret. You'll be able to tell us. If you ask 20 people to subscribe and you watch 20 of our videos, you have the chance of winning another hamper. That one you'll be able to tell us. And the list is you watch 15 of our videos and then you ask 15 people to subscribe to the channel. You don't like this. What else do you like? Maybe continue as we continue to acknowledge our visitors. There is a comment that I would like us to share. Oh, Brother Owusu Queen says, sorry for my question, but what are the major behaviors that can be observed from someone suffering from reactive depression? Mr. Osubekin, as we go on, you will understand what is it. We come back to your question. For now, how long do depressive episodes last for? Miss Mrs. Japan? Mrs.
Hello?
Japan,
Hello?
how long do depressive episodes last for?
Okay. So for how long um they do last, we can say that it ranges from roughly 6 to 8 months, depending on the person. Some can have depression that stays over time. Others also tend to have it on and off, okay, throughout their entire life. But
Yeah,
then with all these, this duration varies. Like I said, depends on, or the duration varies, and that is mostly influenced by the severity, as in whether it's mild, moderate, or severe, and then the treatment, as well as individual factors. So the individual factors happens to be whether the person is able to comply or adhere to his or her treatment regimen, take it as it has been prescribed, adhere to review or visit. So sometimes we tell you go come back in a week's time or in a month's time or 2 months time for us to review. Some people don't do that. Possibly they take the medication, they get better or they get well and they think that is all. And so they tend to stop the intake. It's not advisable to stop the medication intake outright. If you do that, the possibility that the crisis will bounce back is very high. And so it's important that we adhere to all treatment protocols or treatment regimen concerning depression if you don't want to have relapse. And then the treatment options too. In addition to the medication intake, we also have the psychological or the psychotherapy where people are talked through some behavioral modifications, some cognitive behavioral techniques just to help you change your thinking pattern, maybe from negative to a more positive one, and then even to teach you better ways of coping with the daily stresses of life. So yes, the episode lasts basically from the 6 to 8 months, but this is influenced by some of the factors that I've made mention of.
thank you so much, Mr. Ansah. Have you got any additional comments, or if you want us to carry on, let me know, please.
Let's go on.
Okay, thank you so much. Who is at risk of getting depression at all?
Um, okay, so do I take the lead? Okay, Max. All right. So who is at risk? You say that hmm, despite the fact that depression can affect anybody at any point in time, people with different ages from all walks of life, um, the risk of becoming depressed is increased. With so the factors um unemployment. Yes, if you are unemployed or you have been unemployed for so long a time, your risk of getting depression is high because you tend to think a lot, what to feed on, what to feed your family with, how to sustain your life. And coupled with that, maybe you become you've been
And you are not getting. So that can also put you at high risk of getting depression. And then it is also increased with people with chronic physical conditions or terminal conditions. So if you know you are battling with a particular condition, which maybe your health practitioners have told you it's something that probably you will end up with, or something that can't be cured, you are also at high risk, because the thought of having to leave this earth with the condition, sometimes to you are tempted to think of being a burden to your family, your relatives. All those negative thoughts can also put you at high risk. And so sometimes people are like, I think I'm being a burden on you. Then why not end it all by myself so everyone will be free? That is where the suicidal thoughts or suicidal additions also tend to set in. Poverty. Um, so lacking the basic necessities of life, not having something to feed on, clothing to put on, where to put your head, finding it difficult even to feed the three square meals, or even 2 square meals a day, is even a headache for you. So I would say that it can affect anybody at any point in time, people with of different ages, but then some of these factors that I've made mention of can put someone at higher risk of developing depression.
Thank you so much for what you have given us. Based on what you've told us, there was one particular one that I was expecting you to say. I don't know if that one also can lead to depression. Um, how can rich people develop depression? Because you talk of poverty, but you didn't talk of the opposite side. How can rich people develop depression upon all their wealth?
Oh, the rich, they also suffer the same way as the poor. They say the higher your income, the higher your living standards, or your expectations even. Yeah. And so that's on a lighter note. But then um you see, the rich people, they also deal with depression. I mean, they encounter, or they also find themselves depressed for some of these reasons. Sometimes you may have to work for longer hours of time. You are getting money as a result of your being hardworking, or the number of hours you, I mean, put in your job. And so if you tend to think that um if I'm going to rest for, let's say, an hour, that is lots of money going away. So then I'll put in my best. And so you tend to work more. And the more you work, the more your wealth also come. Okay. But then at the end of the day, one day you are going to break down, because you probably may not be having enough rest or enough sleep for yourself because of your long period of working. So that can also have a toll on you. Remember, when we began last week, we said some of the signs and symptoms. So your sleeping patterns do change, and that can be a factor. Sometimes to having to meet lots of expectations, maybe higher expectations, can also plunge you into depression if you are a rich person or a wealthy person. And for some of these people too, because of the nature of their busy schedules, they they have less time for self-care, or even for their own selves. So time to rest, time to even socialize with family, with friends, they don't have that time. Remember, I said every second counts. And so the 5 minutes I'm going to spend with my family, or I'm going to spend with my friends, I can as well use it to work and then earn something. And so there has been work, which at the long run have a toll on them. And so some of these things can plunge someone who is rich. We would think that, oh, he has everything. So why the need for such a person to be in this state? The daily activities of the person will plunge the person into such a condition because he is into what he does more, thinking less of himself in terms of self-care, how he can also reach out to others, socialize and free the mind, or have, I mean, be creative or innovative by ways of making the mind also feel at ease. Those things may be lacking in such a person's life, and that can plunge the person into such a condition.
Oh, thank you so much, Sister Evelyn. But there's one particular one that is very common that leads so many people into depression that we didn't talk about that one. That's relationship.
Relationship breakup. I think
Yes.
it was something that I mentioned last week.
Yeah.
I said you can be in a relationship with someone. Let's say you've been dating, courting, especially with the ladies. You know how we esteem relationship. And so if I'm going out with Mr. A, for all you know, everyone associated with me knows about my going out with this person.
Yeah.
Only for one day Mr. A to come and tell me let's part ways. Maybe for some reasons or sometimes no reasons. I can be very heartbroken. So how am I going to start all over again? I can possibly be thinking of my time, the resources I have expended into this relationship. That alone can send me to a psychiatric, I mean, facility, because I can't just imagine what, for other people might say about me, looking at where I have raised my hopes, I have raised myself, I mean, to the point that yeah, but and then just to get this heartbroken news. So relationship breakups, yes, it does happen a lot, a lot. And I would say for us, women, that is one of the key conditions, or one of the key psychiatric conditions that we find ourselves in.
Okay. So when it happens, all these things that you have. Sorry, Miss Osansa, do you have anything to add to what Sister Evelyn has just given us?
Oh, okay. So I went off a bit. I was having a problem with my connection. So let's move on. I think
Okay.
We'll catch up here.
Um, when all these things happen, there is always an umbrella to every health condition, the policies and the guidelines that give us the a way to be able to plan how we can meet any condition, or the assessment or the treatment, any guidelines that we'll be able to put in place that will be able to guide us through the journey of these conditions like depression. Today, what is whose recommendation on depression?
Yeah, Max, you go first.
okay. So it would all be centered on the early detection, as I've been um, saying, because the symptoms are very difficult to pick up in the sense that the individual might not readily accept or um, get to that point that that is the problem or the situation he or she has found himself or herself in. So it would be on early detection, and then once you have been diagnosed and a treatment plan has been set up for you, it is very important you stick to it as much as you can, because that will enable the healthcare provider assess to see if there is progress. So we have um, discussed or studied that with the mild depression, mostly the healthcare provider would assess you and then see if they would resolve on their own, because that one is mostly self-limiting. But as I'm saying, the early detection will enable the healthcare provider know how best to help you. So it shouldn't be that you would um, let me say delay. If you have all the symptoms that she has talked about, you have to act quickly enough, see your healthcare provider, and then stick to the treatment regimen you are being put on. And then secondly, um, there isn't any room for self medication in depression. There shouldn't be, because the assessment that would come forth from your healthcare provider would help you know when you are progressing or not. So you should stick to the treatment regimen rather than maybe attempting self medication. And most of the medications out there, um, I've said this once, the healthcare provider would weigh the risks and benefit before you are set up for that treatment. For all you know, the medication might have a side effect of raising your cortisol levels. You might not know. So you have to be very careful. You do not self medicate in such situations. And when it comes to the part of the healthcare provider, that one I think Sister Evelyn has talked about it. Exercising empathy, not being judgmental, and then really having time for the individual. That goes a long way to help um, fight depression. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Auntie Evelyn, do you have anything to add to what Mr. Ansah has given us?
Um, Thank you. But I think he's said it all. I want to really stress on what he said concerning early detection. And for me, I will take it from two sides. So early detection from the one experiencing or going through the signs and symptoms. If you find yourself exhibiting these signs and symptoms, whose recommendation is seek care on your own. I mean, voluntarily. And then the other aspect has to do with the significant others, maybe your co-tenants, your partner, your children, your relatives, your family member, your friends, your colleagues at the workplace. If you have seen my relative, my partner, my friend, my colleague exhibiting these signs and symptoms, just find a way of letting the person know it's important he or she seeks care. If the person is possibly probably being adamant, not agreeing to what you're saying or accepting the fact that he's going through something, you can go to a nearby facility and then let them know. So in Ghana here, we know we have psychiatric units in almost every district. And so those working in the various districts, they are the ones who mostly go from home to home or house to house just to detect if there is anyone having a psychiatric condition or if someone is already on treatment, so they follow up. So they have home visits. So you can walk to a facility like that and then let them know that you have a SMEC who is at home. You have seen ABC about this person, you've talked to the person, but the person is not agreeing to come around. So if they can follow up, they have a way of visiting such a home, talking to everyone. They wouldn't only come to you, so it would be like someone might have come to report you know. So they will assess each and every member of that particular household, and then they'll be able to pick out those who have peculiar issues. Then they can, follow through. So it's important that you seek care, as he readily said. If we detect it earlier, we'll be able to manage it or treat it early enough for you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Nanefia Papa B says, hi, please keep up the good work. Thank you, Nanefia, for spending your time with us. And Brother Usube Queen says, thank you so much, Auntie Evelyn. God bless you for your explanation. And Nanefia Papa B continue to say, thank you so, Sister Evelyn. Thank you so much, the team and Mr. Owusu Ansah. Um, at this moment, we're coming to the end of our day for health issues. Do you have anything to add up to what you have said so far to our listeners? And to our listeners, we say God bless you for keeping time with us.
Okay. So what I would want to add is that you see the causes have been mentioned, but when you take a critical look at the cases that come to the healthcare setting, you would realize that mostly those related to health issues, especially chronic conditions. That's um, it's numerous, and so I would admonish that though there are situations as we have talked about, there are situations of discomfort and uncertainty and all that. If the individual has the health of the body and of the mind in check, that would go a very long way to help that person, even if uh, situations change. So I would say this um, to the fact that we talked about the brain functions and cortisol levels. If you really take care of your body, that would be um, a safe haven for you. I'm talking in terms of preventive uh, um, setups. You have to be very, very mindful. You take good care of your body, your brain, so that when it has that good health, though a situation may change, the damage wouldn't be so severe. So I'm admonishing that we take good care of our body. Mostly, as I said, the self medication should be put aside, and then we should endeavor to have the right um, uh, the right healthful um, conditions in terms of diet, rest, and all that, so that we might be prepared physically and functionally in terms of our bodily functions. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sister Evelyn. Do you have anything to add it, or you are okay with what you have given to us so far?
So just a little. So adding on to what Max has already spelled out, in as much as we want each and everyone to take care of his or her body, the brain, I always say that we need to take charge of what we think of. Our minds are just a part of us. You can choose to think negatively, and that can affect your feelings negatively. And that can also affect your behavior negatively. And so I stand to think positively so I can have positive feelings and then behave in a positive manner. But in all of these things, self care is key. If you are battling with depression, please, you are not alone. You can walk to any psychiatric facility. There are there are experts there who are ready to help assist you in this journey. Just seek out in the activities you love doing. Make sure you have a routine, I mean sleeping, pattern. Stay connected to friends, to families. exercise. I mean, these are self-care tips that we can have at our fingertips so that day in and day out, we are all up, hearty, moving out. I mean, doing what we love doing. Be confident out there. But as I've already mentioned, if you are already in it, you are not alone. We are all there to support you. So just seek help from us. We are ever ready to help you. And then I will also admonish caregivers, families, relatives, and friends to continue with our care and support to these people because our support, our love, and care will quicken their recovery. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ansah and Mrs. Agyapong. Thank you for spending your time with us this afternoon. Without you,
Thank
this
you.
program wouldn't have come on. And to our viewers, thank you so much for your precious time spent with us. The same time next week, we bring to you health issues. So please keep time, spend time with us, and you have good news from us that you'll be able to apply to your daily living activities. The next program is coming right after this one, which is from the beginning. So please don't leave us. Come and join us. Brother Owusu, the Queen says, bless you all. Thank you so much. And may the good Lord bless us. Today's birthday, which is goes to our auntie, one of our presenters' daughter. Auntie Abibio's daughter, and Sister Alberta was your birthday as well as Sister Georgina Arthur from Ghana. Thank you so much, wherever you are watching us from. God bless all of us.
Ye